Hello, I am back with my notes on chapter 12 of House of Leaves. And I'm just gonna dive right in. We're gonna start, as always, with the epigraph here. Terry Tarkington, because he's here first. Talk about him. He's a real person. This is a real quote. He was a caver, and I pulled this quote from the internet. This is all I could find about him. Really. It was Alabama Caves and Caverns, which was authored by Bill Varnado and Terry Tarkington. It came out in 1965, available to NSS members only. The coded information and coded location coordinates partially concealed cave information from the general public, since it takes a real effort to read the data. So it's interesting that they published this book that was only available to a few people and was full of codes to conceal information. And then we get this reference to the three boys who vanished from a Missouri cave, and these are the Lost Boys of Hannibal. They're three boys who went exploring Murphy's Cave, and they disappeared. They have never been found. Their names were Billy Hoag, he was 10, his brother Joey Hoag, who's 13, and their friend Craig Dowell, who's 14. There's lots of different theories about what actually happened to them, if the cave collapsed and killed them, if they got lost and couldn't get out, or if they were actually murdered by a serial killer. I think Wayne Gacy was thrown around as a potential murderer of these boys, or that they fell in a construction thing and their deaths were covered up. We still don't know what happened. I thought it was interesting, though, while I was looking up the Hannibal boys, there's another cave in Hannibal called the Mark Twain Cave. And so this man bought a cave, and he actually put his dead teenage daughter's corpse in it, because he thought burying the dead was not good, and he wanted to commune with the dead. So that's where he put his dead daughter's corpse, until it got vandalized, I think, and had to be moved. So it actually inspired some stories in Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain, who wrote this quote. "The cave was but a labyrinth of crooked aisles that ran into each other and out again and led nowhere. It was said that one might wander days and nights together through its intricate tangle of rifts and chasms and never find the end of the cave." And that's from The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. So I thought that was interesting. Okay, and we're going to flip through this fast because there's obviously not a lot going on the pages here. I think I even noted right here, all this space and I have no notes to make, but when the page is crammed full, I have notes to add. Not here. Page 284, though, we get a reference to a green flare, and that kind of reminded me of The Great Gatsby and the green light, a symbol of hope. We know the hope gets dashed, though. We're just going to flip through and get some weird things going on the pages. And here we go. Finally, stuff I can talk about here. Page 297, he said, "I'd never been to Texas, though, not the state." And then he realizes he made a mistake. On page 133, he had told Ashley, page 133, he had told Ashley, "I've never been to Texas." But then he realizes he misheard it, and he had been to Texas house. Mr. Texas guys. That's a reference to something that happened in the past. We get this word, ignis fatuus, which is a will-o'-the-wisp, something kind of deceptive. It literally means foolish fire. And on page 488, we also get a reference to that ignis fatuus, foolish fire, will-o'-the-wisp. Okay. Move over here, page 299. 298, we get the story of the atrocity. And that links, this is a boat that sinks. It's linked to a boat that Johnny was on, possibly because he sunk there. And then on page 545, we get in Zampano's notes an atrocity sinking into waters of darkness. So who's telling the story? You know, was it Tex? Was it Johnny? Or is it Zampano? I'm just gonna add that. Then we have this word, chthonic. That's how I'm gonna say it. And I thought it was an interesting word, so I just thought I'd share it. It means dwelling within the earth, or spirits of the underworld. So as we know, like the hallway in the house is underground or another dimension or that kind of stuff. Page 299 here. We get this nearly maternal hand reaches up from the darkness, but an attempt to conceal the hand that never said a word upon this page. And it kind of reminded me, Pelafina is associated a lot with hands. We know about her fingernails and her knotted knuckles. And this, hand reaching out from the darkness reminded me of this thing that happened on page 269, where Pelafina put her hands around Johnny's throat, tried to strangle him. So yeah, this hand's coming up from the darkness, is not something that's going to save you. Something that can hurt you. Page 300 here, we have this phrase down here, but another kind of oro. So I wrote different oros here. So it's not horror, but it could be sorrow, tomorrow, borrow, corrosive, corroborate, different kind of words that have oro in them. But we could also go to page 626 to see another reference to oro, deloro, doloro. That was interesting. 601, I just wanted to look up what the Kermantle board was. It's a rope constructed with an interior core protected by a woven exterior sheath designed to optimize strength, durability, and flexibility. And then I don't have much to say. I was talking something here about the whole kit and caboodle, but I didn't really go anywhere, so. Oh, yeah, I know people will ask about this. I couldn't figure out this. I'm not good at math. The internet couldn't help me out with this whole formula reference here. So, I am aware of it. I just have nothing to say about it. Let's keep going. We notice how this is the last word in this chapter, but there's not a period at the end of this word. But there's a giant period on the next page. And I had a lot to say about this single dot on a page. So let me tell you, I think that Ulysses is an influence on House of Leaves. Ulysses by James Joyce. So Joyce actually wanted to include a big dot, a big full stop in Ulysses, but the original publishers actually made it small. So this might be a reference to that. It's supposed to represent QED, marking the end of a logical argument, or QED for syllogism. So 3 parts. The third syllogism, I'm probably not saying that right, syllogism, contains or connects the first 2. So if there's 3 authors, which one connects the first 2 is my thought pattern on that. So we have the 3 possible authors. We have Zampano, we have Johnny, we have Pelafina. Which one of them is the connecting person? Is it Johnny to Pelafina and Zampano, or is it Zampano to Pelafina and Johnny, or, which one is the QED, the syllogism? Also, some links between Ulysses in House of Leaves. So both Bloom and Zampano have lost sons, and could Stephen Daedalus and Ulysses is kind of like a replacement son for Bloom, and maybe we could argue that Johnny could be a replacement son for Zampano. This could also be an end note referencing, not a footnote, an end note referencing page 709, which also has this giant dot. It talks about Yggdrasil here. So could be that. Who knows? It's also interesting, like the black spot from pirate stories. It pronounces a verdict of guilty. It signaled a mutiny or overthrowing of a leader. So, for example, in Treasure Island, the black spot was on a page torn from the Bible, specifically the Book of Revelations, that says, "Without are dogs and murderers." This was also used in the lottery to select the annual victims for ritual human sacrifice. If you haven't read that story, go read it. It's fascinating. But yeah, that's all the possible meanings of what this dot could be, or it could just mean nothing. Who knows with Danilevsky and all that jazz. So let me know your thoughts on chapter 12. It's a very short chapter in regards to like notes and stuff like that, but still quite fascinating. And as always, thank you for watching.